Hello. Okay. It's August 14th. It's Thursday. Sorry I wasn't with you yesterday. I wasn't feeling well. A little bit under the weather. Yeah. Caught a cold. And over the weekend and been working it, all week. And this morning, I finally feel a lot better. I was coughing, too much and blowing my nose and not the kind of thing that you want to have, broadcasted all over the world. Yeah. No, thank you. But today's a different story. Feel good today. Yep. And let's keep it that way. So I hope you all are having a good week. The news down here, of course, is, we got, swap cameras, please. There we go. I like to be on the right side of things, not the left side of things. I'm a right of middle person, actually. I believe everyone that needs help should get help. But not everybody gets help because they can. It's because they need it and can't provide for it themselves. The inambulatory, people with prosthetic legs, But, if you got 2 arms, 2 legs, and, you're between the ages of 16 and 76, get off the couch. Be productive. Yeah. Anyway, so, let's get right to the nitty-gritty here. The biggest thing we got going right now is the question about Tropical Storm Erin, E-R-I-N. And, this is this morning at 5 a.m., NOAA, National, Oceanographic Association, NOAA, NOAA says that this is their estimated time of arrival. And all the way over here is where they're at. It is a tropical storm that has, the northern hemisphere cyclonic counterclockwise rotational situation going for it. So you got all this tropical, thunderstorms and all that stuff, and now it's starting to come around in circles, so to speak. Let's see. Do I have an actual? I think I got an actual video. Ooh. Well, it's not important. Is this a video? No. Here is a. Let's see if this plays. It does not play. So on my Radar Pro, you can see, the satellites these days are, they're just amazing. And the fact that I can look at the satellites is even more amazing. Not that I'm incompetent to look at satellites, but the fact that it's, commercially available so that Jimmy here on the 8th floor of Royal Palm Place can actually see this incredible satellite activity. So let's, there's the storm. It started here. You can see the general, it's like rainfall, but it's not. It's actually the direction of the winds we're looking straight down on from the planet. Okay, the satellite is 44,000 miles up in a geosynchronous orbit around the Earth. So what does that mean? The Earth is revolving on its axis, right? And the satellite is revolving at the same angular velocity as the Earth. That's 44, and it takes, in other words, at 18,000 miles an hour, you've got to be up at 44,000 miles for it to be a geosynchronous orbit. If it's closer to the Earth, like the space station, you can see the Earth, moving underneath the space station because it's not in a geosynchronous orbit. It makes it revolves around the axis of the Earth, like every 90 minutes or something like that. When you get out to 44,000 miles, it's like twirling a rock on a string. You let the string longer, and then it takes, you only get so many revolutions per minute. You shorten the string, and all of a sudden, your RPM increases to 5 revolutions per minute instead of 1 revolution a minute. That's why that geosynchronous orbit is 44,000 miles, because that satellite will then move with the rotation of the Earth. So, this satellite is it's in a geosynchronous orbit, and it's looking down on Earth, and because of the way the waves, the wind, the Doppler effect of the different temperatures, with the winds, it can convert that, computer graphics, if you will, into seeing how these wind currents can affect the path of a hurricane. And, all things being equal, the problem with the forecasting models, if we go right back to this date right here, whatever date that is, and every 6 or 8 hours, they plot a point on this line. And this line represents where the apparent center of rotation, because it is rotating. You see how, this is live. This is 9 minutes old. Okay? It's 9:09, right? And if you look down the very bottom of the scale, it goes to 9:00, right there. And it's every 5 minutes over the last couple of hours. That's this slide thing here. And I can pause it, and I can step it up, pause it. But as you can see, the every plotted point is below where the cone of uncertainty is. You see, it's like this, and then the cone's up here. We got this 15 degree, left angle turn that it's not making. So you can see it's 260 degrees. They call it west, but it's not west. It's west-south. It's west-west-southwest. Mostly west, but a little tiny bit south. That's what 260 degrees is. Now, this plotted point right here, that is west. From that dot to that dot is definitely west. But it is generally tracking below the cone of uncertainty. If you freeze frame it right where the center of the eye wall, the eye has the center of rotation. The eye is not well defined yet. It keeps on going through this eye wall reverberation. Let's push a button here and see what. So here's from the National Weather Service. The millibars have dropped from 206 to 202. 1,002. I'm sorry, 1,002 millibars. That is the internal pressure of the center of rotation, also known as the eye. Although we can't really see a really high, definition eye, yeah, yet, but it's getting there. So the pressure in millibars is 1,002 millibars and dropping, if you will. The ground speed is dropping. It was running around 22 to 24 miles an hour. Now it has slowed down to 17 miles an hour. The significance of that is, since it's running over warmer waters, okay, as you get near the Bahamas, the temperature of the ocean is higher. So as the storm spins up and there's a low pressure in the middle of it, that's what happens when you have cyclonic activity. It creates a low pressure in the eye wall. Well, that means, remember, that hurricane is hovering over a warmer ocean and it's cyclonic, so it's a low pressure. And so all that churning water vapor with all that nice warm misty atmosphere is going up through the middle of the storm cyclonically, and then when it gets up to the other atmosphere, then that heat is getting absorbed by the storm. If you're wondering why there's so much energy in the storm, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You got this hot, moist water, this very surface of the water, and it's coming up through the middle of the storm, and as that warm, moist air gets higher and higher in the atmosphere, the temperature is dropping because it's higher and higher in the atmosphere, and all that heat is getting absorbed into the storm. And that's what creates these huge thunderheads and so forth. And if you look at the visible light radar, which I did this morning, you can see the storm is toppling, if you will, with, let's turn that down just a little bit. Yeah. You can see the tops of the storms emerging on the top of the donut of this cloud, particularly, when the sun comes up, as the light hits, as it skims across the top of the earth. Remember, these thunderstorms, they're up to 40,000 feet, 45,000 feet elevation as they grow inside and move along with the cyclonic rotation. How about that for a couple of vocabulary words? So it looks like the center of rotation is it looks like it's plotting right on the middle line of this cone of uncertainty. And you see, it steps across day after day. Now, I've done very little computer graphics of my own. I just should close that down a little bit, please. And we're going to come right to where I got my bright lines. And that's right here. All right, so this is advisory number 10. This is the 5 p.m. NOAA graphic that was sent out to everybody. And this shows the 17-mile-an-hour west movement and the sustained maximum sustained winds is now increased to 50 miles an hour. And that should steadily increase. Now, we're over, we're we would be the second dot, okay? And at 2 p.m. on Thursday, which is today, will it have passed this 50 degree west longitude? Most everybody doesn't pay attention to these storms until they cross the 50 degree line right there. That's like getting into the red zone in football. In the red zone and the 20 yards to go to get a touchdown. Well, that's the 50 west longitudinal line. Yes, sir. Now, what I've done is I've taken the 2 p.m. Saturday, okay, because this is Wednesday, this 5 p.m. Wednesday, dot, all right, which Noah has plotted without getting too in the weeds here. But so you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can only, in a statistical situation like weather forecasting, and I can write a book what I do not know what I'm about to say. But I'm saying anything past 4 days, forget it. That's, it's too far out in the weeds. You see all these dots on here? This is, Noah's pushing the charts because of political pressure, by the networks. Where's it going to go? I want to know now. Well, you don't know these things, really. And these, if you look at the spaghetti charts, they're all over the place. I mean, the entire Atlantic basin is filled with somebody's spaghetti. I mean, it's like they took the spaghetti and just threw it on the wall and see what sticks. Well, the stickiest spaghetti doesn't make a storm path. So what I've done is I've taken day 4, that's as far as I can go, and say, okay, you can see the top edge of the cone of uncertainty. You can see the bottom edge of the cone of uncertainty. You can see the lines. And I just extended the lines, put an arrowhead on there, extended the lines, put an arrow on there. So this storm can go anywhere, without any major, because we cannot statistically determine with any degree of certainty until, a couple of days from now, like Saturday, we take another, I'll take a look at it twice a day, 3 times a day. But for sure, between Wednesday and Saturday, let's just say Saturday at 2 p.m., that's my big red dot right there. And at that point, now I'm drawing the lines today, assuming that sucker is going to be there Saturday. Now we're gonna check. Is it 62 degrees west, and 25 degrees north is the tip of Florida. So we're not up to this line, and I didn't want to have lines all over the place because then it'd be too hard to figure out what the heck I'm trying to talk about. Anyway, so from what we know today, looking forward, to Saturday, this storm could go anywhere, from the center coastline of Georgia to the north and slip right under Florida, going right over the Keys. That's as good as we can do. Anything, this white dot stuff is hocus pocus, and you can see how big it is, so I'm basically cutting off the top part of those white dots. I'm saying that's unless that starts to happen, it's not happening. So this is where I go as of the 5 p.m. advisory number 10. And if we go to, if we look at, so here is this morning at 5:22, and we can see, now we're way over here. We're not anywhere near over there. because it's not a hurricane yet. That's supposed to happen, maybe later today would be the first. Let's see. 2 a.m. Well, it's not supposed to be a hurricane until 2 p.m. Friday. Let's see what this says. There it is. 8 a.m. Friday. That's a little earlier. This is the latest. This is as of like 10 o'clock last night. 8 a.m. Friday. It's at 80 miles an hour. At this position. Now, we don't see latitude and longitude lines, so, but the storm, you can see 11 p.m. Wednesday, see TS. 8 a.m. Thursday, that's today. It says it should be at around 60 miles an hour. Well, it's at 50, 55. So, and by 8 p.m. Thursday, that's today, the wind velocity should increase to about 65. So when we see, NOAA's, that would be like the 13th, maybe the 13th bulletin. I think they're up to 12. And they'll have one at 8 p.m. So we'll see if that's at 65 miles an hour and see if that plotted point is approximately where it is. And then Friday morning at 8 a.m., it should be then declared as a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane. That's what that 1 means. And by 8 p.m. on Friday, 12 hours later, the maximum sustained winds increases from 80 miles an hour to 100 miles an hour. And then at 8 a.m. on Saturday, it's 110 miles an hour. But you can see it's a straight line. Now, somewhere between 8 p.m. Saturday and 8 p.m. Sunday, this right here is the key turn. Because if you extend that blue line, let's see, I have the ability to do this. Let's just get my pen out. There we go. And I have the pen that, let's back that up. Wait. Excuse me for my computer graphic skills here. Let's just turn, yeah. All right, so if I extend this blue line out from right here, it's going right this way. So I'm just going to cross over it in red, and now that's headed right for Boca Raton, okay? But you see what's going on here, right at this point, this blue line is here. But the red line is here. So the question is, this point right here, between 8 p.m. Saturday and 8 p.m. Sunday, that 24-hour period of time, okay, it's saying instead of it going west, it's going west-northwest. Is that actual turn going to happen? And here, the turn is even greater with that guy right there. Now it's northwest. Now those things don't happen, then that hurricane is coming at us. There's no other, there aren't any other options. Because if it doesn't turn, then it's going to continue in the direction that it's traveling, which was that red line. And I'll draw it again. Let's skinny it up a little bit. Still too fat. There we go. So you can see tropical storm, and you just, there we go. You just draw that line, you just keep drawing it straight. Because if it doesn't make a turn, then it doesn't make a turn. And that's what's got me nuts with this spaghetti modeling. And that's, you got all these different parameters. So here you have a few. I mean, look at all these. It's like I say, someone threw spaghetti on the wall. We're here. There we go. You see where it says 103 millibars? All the way over on the right side. That is where we are right now. And it's traveling west, slightly south of west, actually. Between now and tomorrow. And then it starts to make a little turn. So, maybe it's 275 degrees west, instead of 270. It's changing slowly. Here's, the actual path. It shows you the wind field. As far as, this is when it starts to be a hurricane. And that's what that graph is showing. Let's see. Here's another one right here. Now this is a video which I just did a print screen on. So it's not a video. I can show you what it looks like. Let's go there. I think I can show you on this. There's Aaron. And we want to get to the... All right, so we touch Aaron. And we're going to go down to the in depth. That's where this one is buried. I mean, it's not buried. This is just where it normally is. There we go. This is still image. There we go. Now I'm going to expand this. Now Aaron is right down here on the bottom of this graphic. Ooh, I need to slide it over so you can see it better. There we go. So now you can see the state of Florida. All right, up at the top. And then you see this wind field. This is actually the tracking of the moisture. The tremendous drop in the levels of precipitation. Let's get that T in the right place. Precipitation. And if you see, that's going straight at us. Okay? I can't draw a line on the video, but you can see this is like the last place I go. But you can see there's lots of things moving around here. Now this little white patch right here, or blue patch, you see right in the front of the head of that? Now, this is like a bull charging towards Florida. And you got this little, and that is supposed to be the steering current that's going to push, that's going to suck this thing up, and have it make a U-turn. So we'll see. I mean, that's, all the smart guys, the media guys are all saying this thing is going to make a right turn, Sunday. Well, we'll be watching for it. Yes, we will. So, and if it makes the right turn on Sunday, then God bless America. How wonderful would that be? We'd be right in the middle of the hurricane season. So, if anything else, this little exercise is telling everybody from here to Georgia, have your hurricane preparedness plans in place. Don't wait. Let's go to My Radar Pro. There it is. This is live feed. Well, it's not live. It's, like 10 minutes delayed. These plates. Let's get it. See, 920, 920, 925. That's the last plate. You see in the bottom? That's a little rabbit. Yep. And you can see the time is increasing up to about 9:25 a.m. It's 9:31 a.m. So we're like 6 minutes delayed broadcast there. So let's see, where else will we see? Yeah. So there's a lot of I guess the top. Here you go. So as I expand out a little bit, let's see. You can just, there we go. Let's just keep the tip of Florida. There you go. You can see Miami, you see my blue dit. That blue dit is my telephone. My trusty telephone is sitting right next to me here. Yep. And see the blue dit? That's where it is, right? MIA is the blue dit. Miami. So, if it doesn't make that turn on Sunday, then it's basically coming right at us. Until it makes that turn, I gotta, whoa, whoop, put your arms up and hope. No. Get some hurricane stuff. Get some extra. I got a couple extra, I got, 3 times, I got 18 more liters of, of water, bottled water, distilled, high pH water, pH 9.5. To be exact, it's smart water. I'm sure you've heard of it. They have 2 flavors. Smart water distilled. It's a distilled water product, which means the water is distilled. And they add a couple little things, to, make it, make sure the taste is quality taste. Because the distilling process is where it boils, it comes across, and it gets, condensed and sterling silver coil, actually. It's, a good still. Like if you're going to distill vodka, for example, from a grain, slurry and stuff. Well, if you, over on the boiling pot there, the alcohol will boil off first. In other words, if you wonder how come when you turn up the heat and it won't get up to 212 degrees because it's got to boil off the alcohol first. That's the whole purpose in you doing the slurry in the first place, with the yeast and all that kind of stuff. Kind of like making beer. But this is like distilling alcohol from the fermentation process. You boil off the alcohol, and it comes off at around 175 degrees is when the alcohol turns to steam, comes across into the sterling silver coils. There's a fan on there, cools off the coils, condenses the the alcohol, and you see drip, drip, drip into your alcohol basin. Yep. That's how that works. So I got some distilled water. So there's another flavor of smart water. It's called pH 9.5. pH of 7 is neutral. A pH of 6 is acidic. It would have like a lemony, make your mouth pucker up, Okay, 7, a pH of 7 is 7.0 is exactly neutral. Okay? Certain eye drops, you'll see pH 7.1, pH 6.9. If the pH was high, like in an eye drop, a pH of like 7.8, it would, and you drip that into your eye. Your eyes, it would be like having soap in your eye, with a high pH. Now, a nice high pH water, like that 9.5 balanced smart water product, which they deliver the water and has a pH of 9.5, means it's not acidic, it's slightly alkaline. That would be the word. So, below 7, it'd be slightly acidic. If it's high pH, meaning over 7, then it's alkaline. Well, it's nice to drink alkaline water when you have water entering your acidic stomach. It would tend to, instead of putting Tums in the tummy, drink some 9.5 pH water. How about that? You need to hydrate with something. So you should hydrate with 9.5 pH water, because that'll have a similar effect as an immediate, quite frankly, because when you drink the 9.5 alkaline water, it'll immediately neutralize any acidic activity that's in your stomach. Okay? So, anyway, so I got 18, 3 times 6 packs. I got 3 6-packs of the alkaline water from Smart Water. It's like a black ink on a clear, tall, skinny bottle, 1 liter bottle. They serve it in 1 liter bottles and 1.5 liter bottles. You can get it in half-liter bottles, 750 milliliter, all these different size bottles. The kind that you would jog around with if you were a jogger, or take to the gym with you, as opposed to having a big liter bottle in the gym. Some people prefer to have, a 3/4 liter or a half-liter bottle, so it doesn't overwhelm you, and it fits in the, in the cup holder in your jogging machine, that kind of thing. The liter skinny bottle of Smart Water is, probably stands up 11 inches tall. And then, it'll fit in the coffee, in the holder, the cup holder that's on a track machine, or, the equipment you'd find in a gym. But when a liter bottle is a little tall, a little tippy, so that's why they have these smaller bottles. For the outdoors jogger type people. Anyway, so Saturday, Sunday, that's when this angle of attack switches from westerly. You can see here's the past track whenever that was declared as a tropical storm, and it's gone straight across here. And if anything, the angle is at the 260-degree west course, not 275.